All right, let's do it. I got some fun topics for today. Might break them into smaller videos. I get a lot of longer notes from people occasionally, and in this case it's from a guy I've known since high school. And he's a nice guy, and he cares. He cares about me and the project. There was a great teacher I had in high school who really cared about his students. I mean, a major influence on my life. And so when this guy sends his note that understands a lot of what I'm doing and has entirely reasonable questions asking about things he doesn't, it makes me want to, write a long, smart note back. But I figure I might as well just turn those into videos. And I will omit details like his name, you notice I didn't mention, because other people are also interested, because what I'm doing is actually pretty darn interesting. So I wrote down a few of the topics, and I'll address them because they'll benefit more people than just him. That's not a way of avoiding communicating directly with him. It's just more people could benefit. And I've gotten used to talking into a camera and occasionally being eloquent. That's a stretch, maybe quite a stretch. So one is, as I talk about financial issues, I think it's important to talk about those because there's really cool channels out there. Like a different person just recommended to me one called The Camp, with a K, I think. There'll be a link in the description if I remember. But they seem very well financed, very well organized. It's a group, which is far more interesting than just a couple people or one guy in the forest. But as I consider how to invite people here again, they actually have a lot of great topics they cover about how they do things, and it's fairly realistic. And they've got their funding figured out, so they do crowdfunding, which is a bright idea. And I want to do some crowdfunding myself. I made a video about different types of topics I would potentially crowdfund. And I have to do some polling, market research, I guess, on what would be most interesting to people in that regard. But that wasn't what he was asking me about. He was mentioning, since I'm getting a little older, you can see the gray here, could I get Social Security? Well, I'm not old enough for regular Social Security, but I could get disability Social Security. And that's the topic of this video so far. The answer is probably yeah. I mean, I am messed up. I'm psychologically screwed up, physically somewhat, given my lifestyle messed up. And my last response to him was, well, I don't really want to get Social Security because I'm not a socialist and I don't like stealing from taxpayers. But as he pointed out correctly, they stole from me. It's my money. So I'm not against getting Social Security. And I could get diagnosed with a disability. I'm very diagnosable. I've gotten informal diagnoses from tons of people, especially ex-girlfriends. They really love to diagnose you. But the thing is, I've been diagnosed with far too many things for it to be reasonable. I can't have everything, and I know what I actually would diagnose myself with. And it's, I would hire someone, I guess, to be an expert doctor and say, yeah, that's what you sound like you are. And I'm pretty self-aware, so I know that I am. But I don't give a fuck, and I don't think that other people should have to pay for my weakness. And you say, oh, it's a sickness, not a weakness. Whatever, fuck that. I mean, I could work if I had to. And I'm not willing to do certain things. I'm willing to do others, and I've known some people who are on disability, and they had side jobs making money, so they were screwing the taxpayers over while they were also making money because they can actually work. And my opinion of such people is very, very low. If you are one of them, I'm not trying to insult you personally, but I think what you're doing is fucking wrong. I mean, it is actually illegal as well, right? So that's just a bad way to be. I gotta tie my shoe here. And I may be crazy in some sense. I definitely am, because I'm out of tune with regular society. But regular society is murderous, evil, thrives on ignorance, and being good slaves. So yeah, you know, diagnose me all you want. I'm a fucking terrorist if I terrorize your stupid ass, horrible, genocidal viewpoints, you know, or your support of the state, or your continual, you know, generational violence that you propagate in everything that you do. Not you personally, I don't know you, but you know that's the world you're surrounded by. You're looking at an entirely suicidal culture in which civilization is going to fail. And yeah, I've got various delusions. I've got delusions of grandeur. Great. I mean, I'm not going to go into every possible diagnosis. I mean, you could say I'm a narcissist because I talk into a camera, but I don't got anybody else to talk to. You know, and I got lots of pictures of me online. I'm a good model. I'm real cheap. And I document my life, and I share it. I don't think that means I think I'm narcissistic. I don't think I'm that great. I guess there's official different definitions. I don't manipulate people. I'm honest as fuck with people. I tell them who the fuck I am, and if they don't like it, that's fine. I don't care. I don't like me all the time either. I'm not perfect. And I think that, as an aside, that's actually one of the reasons my videos I think are more interesting, is because so many people are trying to have an Instagram world and a fake face they're presenting, and they're all happy and perfect. But I've talked to just thousands and thousands of people, and I know that's not how they are on the inside. I know people are wearing happy masks, and it's fine. Maybe we need to do that. Maybe that's good for society in some way. But not if it's crushing you inside, and not if everyone's lying and they're supporting evil things. You know? Don't do that. Don't fall for that shit. So I'm not saying we should all whine about a lot of stuff, and I certainly don't like that I probably come across as whiny in some of my videos. Why is this gate moved? Maybe there was wind that moved it. I don't like that when things move. Anyway, so the short answer is no, I don't feel like getting diagnosed to survive, and it's my own fault. All my failures are my own fault. I am going to do crowdfunding. I am going to ask people for money, but it's going to be voluntary. Nobody should be forced to pay for my delusions, which I think are actually reasonable, and I think common reality is the delusion, but whatever. See, I could cut this and make new videos, like shorter videos, but screw it, it's all going to get AI edited someday anyway. And, you know, people say make little short videos that people like, and it's like, no, fuck that shit. I'll just walk along and talk as if you were here with me, you know. A lot of people like talking to me, or have liked talking to me. And, yeah, it's rambly, but it all fits together. It's a bigger picture. So, he also did mention that I have too many ideas, and it's true. I'm scattered by the scale. It's not that I'm scattered because I'm an idiot. I'm scattered because the scale at which I'm thinking about recreating culturally how we do everything in the world is just really too big to think about. And I'm not a specific expert on any part of it, but I question expertise in general. Certainly certificationism is bullshit. But it is true. I have to focus on a few areas that actually cause survival, because the pressure of being a slave to the bank with the debt that I have is really bad. It only gets worse. And they want to keep me as a debt slave. They want to keep me poor. They love that shit. You know, so right now people donate to service the bank. And as soon as I can get out of that debt, then they won't be charging me 30% anymore, because I think they're now charging me 30%. Then I won't be paying as much, if anything, to the bank, because I won't be running a debt load ever again. This is the only time I'm running a debt load. It started after an injury I had, and you know, I live super cheap. And then people can once again be donating and knowing that their money is going a really cool project and a very interesting person. That'd be me and my cute dogs. And doing things that nobody else can do, or is willing to, or would think of, or, and I'm going to do things that aren't profitable. Like make designs for things that I think are world-changing, but that anyone can use the design. Everyone else is just thinking, how can I come up with something, own it, make lots of money, and then live a life of luxury? And it's like, I reject all of that for me personally. Now, I do realize that as I talk about the lifestyle I promote, not everybody needs to live like I do, okay? I am an experiment. And some people feel judged that I'm saying, well, this is bad for the environment, that's bad for the environment. It's like, well, I'm not judging you. You do what you want to do. Now, I live on probably 1/20th of the electricity and other energy that I used back in the city. And I have the positive impact of planting and protecting the forest and stuff. So that isn't to say that I'm then going to judge people I consider friends, and whether they're friends or not is irrelevant. But, I'm not telling you what you should do. You have to do what you need to do in the space you're in, with what you've got, with your values, with your goals. And so even if somebody wants to make a shit ton of money, great, do it. Money's also fake, so whatever. Pleasure is temporary. Nothing, all this shit just doesn't matter at all, but do it if you want, I read articles about what percentage of energy used is just people flying around. It's one of the biggest wastes that there is. And I haven't flown for over a decade. I flew twice in the last 20 years. And I'm not saying it's an evil thing to do, but if you did consider yourself an ecologist or environmentalist in some way, and you're flying around the world to give speeches about it, you might want to wonder about that. That's bullshit. So I will call it hypocrisy, but it's not really my job. I just don't care, I already know that pretty much everyone is destroying the planet, and they're all going to point fingers at each other and say, oh, it's the rich people, oh, it's those people over there, it's the people in this country or that country. And it's like, it is true that poor people who use less resources are less guilty. But you probably fit into relatively wealthy person with lots of opportunity. Maybe not. I don't know who's watching this. But that's for you to judge. You look in your own mirror. You figure that shit out. Okay? I'll look in my own mirror. I'll evaluate what my options are. And I'll try and do great things. And I'll try and inspire you. I mean, that's why I share it. Throw out half of what I say. I don't care. Throw out 90%. But if there's an idea that I can share with you that somehow fits in with your life to make you a better person for the people around you, and then you get to be around better people because they're around better people, everybody wins. Maybe, we can even save 1 billion or 2 people on the planet from going extinct, and we can actually make a world that's better than it's ever been before. And that's the kind of optimistic shit I should be saying, not just the pessimistic shit I usually say. Because it's obvious to me how fragile civilization is. Some people just can't imagine things could be any different, Like, let's just choose Americans, okay? Everybody slams on Americans because they're bigoted fuckwads. Not the Americans, everybody else. But they're just easy to slam on the Americans because they're the current golden age civilization, although they're in a very fragile position themselves. And they have no concept of how to realize that because they haven't had any wars on their soil. They haven't had any really bad economic times in their memory. They don't even remember the Depression, and that wasn't even that bad. I mean, the potato famine was worse than that. I mean, famines all around the world have been worse than that. So the point is, people are soft and weak, and they're going to make a worse and worse situation for the world. They're going to encourage big government. They're going to discourage personal incentive. They are going to destroy the planet. And like I said, I'm not right-wing, left-wing, or anything, but freedom and self-ownership shouldn't be either of those. Or we'll just drop the right and left completely. Fuck them both. Let's go with rule of law, equality for all, of opportunity at least, and get rid of the fucking corruption that's pervasive in every single system you know of. I mean, you can barely make a system without it going corrupt. So we have to think of anti-corruption systems as we create a new system. anti-corruption attributes within a system, and the attitude within everyone that we don't fucking put up with that, and we don't make exceptions for ourselves either. That's the worst thing, is everybody says, well, it's a corrupt world, so I'm just going to do this one bad thing. I'll steal in this one way. I will collude with someone. I will manipulate the system. You know, and everybody's fucking living off the taxpayers. Like, that's how you really succeed, is to get into government or religion and then just rape the fuck out of people. I mean, the underlying fundamental fucking goals and methods of how the world works are corrupt through and through. You know, that's why educational systems suck. Public education itself is very questionable. I mean, I had good experiences in public education. I've been to private schools. I've been to religious schools. I was raised in all kinds of places. I didn't go to school very long in one place. But that did give me an opportunity to see how they operate differently. And I've observed in certain cases where public education is absolute horrible. It's child abuse. It's a terrible thing. So I lost my list. I don't know what I'm fucking ranting about now. Yeah, my ideas are too big. I mean, I think about architecture, diet. When you really talk about designing an alternative culture, as too big a topic for people to fathom. And if I'm honest with people about a whole bunch of different views, every one of them is going to say, well, that is a weird idea. That's not going to work. And they haven't thought about it. They just know that it's not what's normal. You're right. I'm suggesting something that is absolutely abnormal. And so, you know, even this video I shouldn't publish, right? Because first of all, I'm being critical of everything, but not on an individual basis, and I hope you join me in my criticism. I hope you look around and say, wow, I'm contributing to the world being worse in some ways. How can I stop doing that? And how can I contribute to a better one? That's up to you. I mean, you can listen to crazy fuckers like me, that's just fine. But you have to be you. You have to own you. Or at least get away from the systems that are using you. Don't be a slave. Don't be a house slave. House slaves are just as bad as slaves. And the owners, too, are trapped, you know. This is one of the excuses why patriarchy, the concept of patriarchy is good, is because it's like, well, patriarchy, if we got rid of that, it would help men, too. And it's like, well, pick a fucking different word. Don't use a sexist fucking word if you want, with your theoretical feminism, which is often just bullshit. Not real feminism. I mean, none of these words mean anything is the problem. We can't fucking talk. Like I said earlier, I'm against socialism. Yeah, I'm against the forced entry of the government into every fucking part of your economic activity. And I'm against, you know, politicians always getting richer regardless of the name. You know, I don't agree that capitalism even exists. The U.S. is not a capitalist country. It doesn't fit the definition in any way. It's corrupt as fuck. It's an oligarchy. It's a plutocracy. Plutocracy means wealth controlled by the wealthy. Do I really have to talk this fast? Fuck it. Why not? Keep up. So, yes, my ideas are too big. And the bad thing about that is that they're too big to actually implement without working with other people. And that's where I get stuck. Because I invited way too many people here who had no interest in creating. They just wanted to take. A bunch of them are trustafarians. They have no skills. They have no attention span. They don't care about anyone but themselves. Although, you know, they talk about love and light and all this bullshit. So I need hardcore people. I need hardcore people who pencil out. Who do agree with a lot of what I say, and I'm writing down a lot of what I say. So we need to make social agreements for basic social functioning, what's okay and what isn't okay. This is something that people should do with intentional communities, where it's not just like, let's get a bunch of nice people together and it'll all work out. No, it will not work out. That's shown over and over again. You will have the usual conflicts. You will fall apart. You will, if you are successful and pretty, you will attract moochers who will destroy you. So you have to have defense mechanisms in the community against being destroyed. You have to get people away from your community who break local law or custom enough that you will be in trouble. So you're going to need to follow the law for the most part. And you know, if you want to be weirdos somewhere, don't be obvious weirdos in affecting the local community. At least not where I live, because they will destroy you. And if I let you, a dangerous influence, into the community, and I've done that. I've invited people who are direct threats to my survival here,